Welcome to Mental Wellness Evolution. I'm Jeff. Thanks for being here. We're going to do a short talk this evening on the power of presence, mindfulness, and meditation in your life and why these are such valuable tools that we need to work on developing every single day and how they're going to benefit us through the course of our lives. Okay. So one thing that I've really noticed as somebody who's recovered, and I used to be an alcoholic, I used to drink a lot, I used to do a lot of hard drugs, I've dealt with various mental health issues, depression, anxiety, and then I've also spent a lot of time on kind of the personal growth path and those types of things. And it's really truly the power of being in the present moment, of learning and working to be here right now in the moment. Now, it sounds like the cliche thing like, oh, the present moment is always have, that's why it's a gift. But it actually, when we start to look at it in the grand scheme of things, everything we experience in our lives, it's happening in the present moment. See, the present moment is just an endless series of right now, right now, right now, right now, right now, right now, stacked upon each other. Okay. So like a lot of the mantras in recovery and like dealing with mental health issues and those types of things, and even the personal growth path is, hey, we just take things one day at a time. But within those 1 days, there's a lot of one moments at a time. Okay. And it's how we deal with those individual moments that help us determine where we're going to go throughout the course of our lives. Now, if you're sitting in the challenge of addiction and you're not wanting to go in the direction of the drugs or the alcohol or the gambling or stuff, we need to be in that moment aware that, hey, if I do this, I'm going to go in that bad direction that I don't want to go down that road that I've gone down so many times in my life, right? That opportunity for growth to make that different decision, it only happens in the present moment. When we're dealing with anxiety, when we're dealing with depression, same thing. We get stuck in that moment, but in that moment is where our power truly, truly, truly lies. Even personal growth, behavioral change, all of it. We can only make the actual changes and decide to go in the direction we want to go right here, right now. That's the only chance we actually have. Now, the subconscious programming is something that I talk about a lot. Essentially, we've programmed ourselves like robots. We will go back to the same habits, behaviors, emotions, belief systems, all of these things. And a lot of them are below our conscious awareness that we're not even aware that we're doing them. But the only chance we have to not go back to the way that we've always done it is to get into the moment and make a decision to go in a different direction. Make a decision to understand that an old belief is coming up inside of me and I'm going to move through the discomfort. I'm going to move into something that's unfamiliar, even though it's uncomfortable, in order for me to make this familiar in my life, okay? So being present, guys, is so valuable because, like I said, it's the only time we're on the playing field of our lives. See, our subconscious mind, now the mind operates on two levels. A conscious level, if you're here, you're listening to me, you're, evaluating what I'm having to say, you're in the moment, you're here, you're present. But the subconscious aspect of ourselves, which is what happens to us, this is what takes over us when we get consciously checked out of our lives. We get distracted by our thoughts. Essentially, the subconscious program is our brain and body that's learned to demonstrate all of our learned habits, thoughts, feelings, emotions, behaviors, everything the way we've always done it. It essentially has memorized how to be us better than we know how to do it ourselves, in a sense, okay? So we have to understand the value of being conscious and present, because if we're not, that's when we're going to get dragged back to those same habits, those same behaviors, the way that we've always done it. I'm sure you've tried to change things in your life and you've come up against a wall and you keep doing the same things over and over and over and again. And it's like, why the hell do I keep doing this? Why do I keep going back to this? I hate this. Why do I keep doing this? Well, essentially, we're programmed. I call this the robot you. We've essentially installed neurological hardware, which is just neurological networks in our brains, basically groups of brain cells called neurons that fire in a specific sequence when we demonstrate a specific habit, a thought, belief, whatever that may be, okay? Essentially, think of your brain like a computer. The subconscious mind is a software program that's running that computer. So we've done the same things over and over and over again. Our brain and subconscious thinks that's what you'd like to do. The language of the brain is behavior. That's what it understands. It doesn't matter that we recognize cognitively that a lot of these things we're doing for ourselves are inherently destructive. Our brain doesn't have that filter. Our brain doesn't think in terms of right or wrong. Our brain recognizes the behaviors in the way that we've always done things. So in a sense, if you're dealing with alcohol and something like that, or you've been drinking a lot, you're not going to necessarily be conscious and present while you're going to the liquor store to buy booze. And the other thing that the brain does is it gives us specific thoughts that are consistent with our current emotional state. And this is what makes mental health a little bit challenging, because our brain, if we're laying on the couch ruminating about our past, thinking about the problems in our lives and that type of thing, and we do this often enough, our brain starts to understand that you like to do this. Now, it might seem kind of bizarre to think of it that way, but it's a safety thing for the brain. The brain is here to keep you alive. So if it recognizes that you like to sit and ruminate on the past, it's going to give you more thoughts that are consistent with that kind of behavior. Same thing with anxiety. If we like to focus on our anxious thoughts, the brain goes, oh, you like to focus on anxious thoughts. Here, have some more anxious thoughts. And it's an entirely different way of looking at these types of things, guys. But when you understand that the brain only understands our behavior, then you understand that we have to actually choose to make different behaviors in order to go in a different direction in our life. And this is where it gets onto that moment to moment to moment to moment, kind of role. We have to make that decision in that moment. And sometimes we have to override these systems. And this is by no means to shame anybody who's dealing with mental health issues or things like that. It's challenging to deal with mental health issues, but we have to get moving sometimes, guys. We have to understand that the internal override has to happen, because the brain, if we do this enough times, the brain's just going to take us back to this, where it says, well, you like to lay on your couch and think about your problems. Here, go lay on your couch and think about your problems. But then when you try to do something else, now your brain is like, no, you don't like doing this. Even if you recognize cognitively that it's a healthy behavior for you, your brain's just going, no, you're off schedule. You like to do this. We need to do this. So this is kind of the challenge with dealing with anxiety and depression and like that, guys, is because our brain is essentially keeping us stuck there. It's not doing it on purpose. It's not doing it to be bad. It's not doing it out of any malice or anything like that. It's just a repetition thing. We program subconsciously through repetition, and then the brain recognizes the behaviors that we do over and over and over again. So it takes us back to those same behaviors, even if they are not pleasant or self-destructive or anything like that. So when we recognize that the brain is going to do this to us, and this is probably news to you if you're dealing with depression, anxiety, and there might be a little bit of pushback on this, and I understand this, but when you truly understand that the brain's language is behavior, that's all it understands, you can see how this is going to snowball on you in your life if you sit down and think about this. Now, I'm not saying we're not going to have challenges and we're not going to have days where, maybe we do need to sit on the couch and take that time off. But the reality is in order for us to do something different, we have to get into the moment, recognize that, hey, the brain is going to keep me stuck here unless I consciously choose to go in a different direction. If I don't make a decision to demonstrate a new behavior or try to think a different thought or go in a different direction, I'm going to do the same things I have done over and over and over again. And you start to see the value of being present and being mindful, and a practice like meditation that helps you to disconnect from those thoughts, because your brain, when you're feeling depressed, is going to give you thoughts that are consistent with what you're feeling inside of yourself. So if you're feeling down, expect to see thoughts that make you feel down. Now, this is, again, not to shame anybody, guys. I'm here to try to help you understand that this is how this works. This is how this happens to you. So we need to get onto the playing field in the present moment. And it is uncomfortable sometimes, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. Moving through all of these things, dealing with the discomfort. I mean, when you're dealing with recovery from addiction, that pull to just grab that bottle, to grab, to go gamble, to go have sex, to go watch some pornography, or even doom scrolling on your phone. And I mean, that's a perfect example. I know plenty of people who judge drug and alcohol addicts who literally can't put their cell phone down for 45 seconds. It's the same type of addiction. It's the same type of thing, okay? So then we can consciously decide to make better decisions. We can decide that I need to do this behavior in order to make myself feel better. I have to make a choice to move through this discomfort at this point in time. Now, this isn't always going to be the case, again, guys. Sometimes we're going to need rest, and sometimes it is okay to need rest. And there are challenges and things in our lives that are very, very, very overwhelming at times. And I understand this. And again, this is not to shame people. What I'm just making people aware of is this is how our brain operates. This is how our brain works. whether we like it or not, this is what's going to happen to you. So if we keep doing the same things, or even like, you like thinking, you like trying to fix your anxiety, your brain goes, okay, well, here, have some more anxiety to fix. It's kind of almost an asshole in that way, but it's something we need to understand, because when you start to understand that, oh, okay, I just need to do some new behaviors to show my brain that there's safety in these new behaviors. And eventually your brain will relent. Your subconscious working in tandem with your brain will also relent, and you'll be able to go in that direction a lot easier, guys, okay? But I mean, even in the process of behavioral change and personal growth and development things, the only time we can actually truly make changes is right in the moment. Because if we're not in the now, we're going to lose our free will to this programming every single time. So we practice this, guys. We do this throughout the course of our lives because we want to train our mind. Our focus is our greatest weapon. The better we get at focusing, the better we get at using our mind in our favor. We train it. It brings more peace back into our lives. We get better at being in the moment. We get better at not getting swept up in our thought processes. We get better when we're feeling kind of down at understanding that, hey, I can't just stay here because my brain's going to go, oh, okay, that's what you like to do, and I'm going to take you back there. So it gets us onto the playing field, and then we are allowed to make new decisions. We can decide which way we'd like to go. And when we start being aware of these things, we start developing planning. We do action planning. We can develop strategies and what am I going to do when this comes up in our lives? Because the better prepared we are, guys, the better we're going to be able to go in a new direction when the time comes. When you get stressed, when we get knocked out of stasis, when we got a lot of things going on in our lives, we're going to go back to this very easily, because stress is going to take us out of the present moment with our mind. We start focusing on the stressor. We want to get rid of the stressor. But if we already have the solution predetermined for when the stressor comes up, we're far more likely to go in that direction. So we start to establish, what are the things that I'm going to do? For myself, I call these my 3 pillars. These are the things that I know when I'm stressed, when things are going on, when I'm having a bad day, when I'm feeling a certain specific way. I need to do these 3 things. For me, that's meditation, journaling, and exercise. We pick those 3 things. In that moment, I can make that choice as the conscious override within myself, consciously, that, hey, I know I have to go to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym. I'm, necessarily every other day, I don't want to do it. But when I'm having a bad day, I understand that, hey, in order for me to feel better right now, either I'm going to sit here and ruminate and my brain's going to go, hey, this is the way you like to do it, so it makes me do it, or I have to consciously override and choose that and go in a different direction. But I can only do that when I get presence in my life. The awareness that I've gained about how my brain works has literally changed the way I look at those types of things. Now I understand that when those things come up in my life, I have to move. I have to do something. I can't sit here and ruminate on it. And if we do it day after day after day after day, before it's 3 weeks down the road, and it's just like you just keep going back to the same things. Essentially, we just take the same day and we stack it on top of each other. We stack it on top of each other. And so Joe Dispenza says, the hardest part of change is not doing the same thing that we did yesterday. And this is actually very, very important to understand. It is incredibly challenging to change sometimes, guys. And ultimately, dealing with some of these things involves us consciously doing some work on what is leading to this thought. What is leading to this behavior? What are my beliefs about anxiety? Why am I feeling down? What is actually doing? What can I actually do that might allow me to deal with this in a healthier way? And we do this consciously. We do it in the present moment. Meditation is also a fantastic practice for disconnecting from our thought processes, because it's easy for us to get swept up in our thoughts. And as soon as we get lost in our thoughts, we check out of the moment and our subconscious aspect of ourself will take over. And before you know it, you're not even paying attention and you're laying on the couch, you're lost in thought, feeling, emotion loops. You're thinking and feeling, thinking and feeling, thinking and feeling. So we have to be present and mindful and conscious in our lives, guys. It's an uphill battle to make changes regardless of what we're up against in our life. But when we start to understand that, hey, this is what the brain does to me. This is how I've literally done things always. This has been programmed into me below my conscious awareness. And learn about the subconscious, guys. I promise you that's the absolute game changer. I'm going to talk about this a lot on this channel, because I think that once we understand how the brain and subconscious work in tandem, that allows us to actually facilitate new and better changes going forward in our lives, because we get that we've essentially programmed ourselves to be a specific way. We're going to always go back to our default. This is just the default programming. It's the software program we've installed neurologically that literally runs our lives and governs us, like I said, like robots, okay? But the only time we have a chance to fight against any of this is to get present, to get mindful, to start being aware of what's going on a moment-to-moment basis, to work on focusing here in the moment, here in the now, because that's where real change, real growth, and real, facilitation of going in a different direction in our life can happen. Otherwise, if we're completely lost in our thought, we're going to lose our free will to this programming every single time. So work on training your focus, guys. Work on being present. You can do this even when you're not stressed out, guys. Practice being in the moment. Breathe into your body. Feel yourself inside of your body. You can do this when you're standing in the store. You can do this when you're driving your car. One of my favorite ones, and everybody loves to eat. Next time you eat and sit down, really take time to eat. How many times have you just wolfed your supper down without even being present while you were doing it? Take some time. Enjoy the flavors. Have a conversation with a friend and really work on being in the moment, hearing what they have to say. Listen to their words. When you I have a pet cat, you pet your cat. Really focus on what that feels like inside of your body. And as we focus more in the present moment, the beautiful part about this, guys, is our focus can only go in one direction. So the more we are in the moment, the more that our thoughts are just gonna stop. It's kind of just like, if we focus on our thoughts, we get more thoughts. But if we focus on presence, well, we get more presence. And it's a training the mind thing, guys. It's a training the focus thing. But when you understand that the focus you have is truly your superpower, you will get to work on training it. And the only place that we can train our focus, train our attention, is in the present moment. It's the only way we can do it. We go to the gym to lift weights, to train our muscles. We train our mind in the moment. That's how we do it. Meditation is a great practice for this because it's easy. We can shut out kind of the external noise. We can close our eyes and kind of go within ourselves. We don't have the external distractions to kind of take us off course. But you can do this absolutely throughout the course of your day. Every time you catch yourself, bring yourself back to presence. Breathe into your body. Stay here. Be here now. Be in the moment. Try to stay here as best you can. And you'll notice very off the hop that we don't spend a lot of time in the present moment. Our thoughts and egoic mind are running the show for most of our lives. But once you understand that, you realize, oh, okay, I can just check back into the moment. And is this challenging? Absolutely. But you know what else is challenging? Dealing with the madness that goes on in your head every single day. So the better we get at being present, mindful, being here in the moment, the more peace that it's going to start bringing back to our lives. So work on this every single day, guys. This is arguably one of the best things that you can put your attention, put your focus on, trying to be in the moment, disconnecting from your thoughts, learning to observe your thoughts, sit in behind them. Meditation, again, a great practice for this. Mindfulness is being aware of what we're thinking, what we're feeling in the moment. And when we can, we get an attention, we get a hold on kind of that. It's essentially just being in the moment. And the more you get into the moment, the more you're able to actually enjoy your life. You're not going to feel those good emotions if you're lost inside your thought processes all the time. How many times have you been out with your friends or doing anything where you're not even there? You're essentially just lost in your thought processes, okay? So work on being present, guys. Work on this daily. This is one of the things I would encourage absolutely every human being to do. This practice and the meditations and stuff to me have brought so much peace and joy back to my life. And this is why I share it with you, because I feel like this is one of the most valuable things that you could ever go about learning, okay? If you want to read a great book about this, my guy Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. Read that book. It can be an absolute game changer for you. Okay, guys? So thanks again for being here for my little talk. We're going to do more of these talks as we go about throughout the course of the channel. If you want to deal with some coaching and stuff like that, you can find me at Re-Mind Yourself on Facebook and Google, and you can find me at Remind Yourself Coach on Instagram and Re_Mind Yourself Coach on TikTok. Okay, guys? Hope you have a great day. We'll see y'all on the next talk. Peace.